Okay, this should be the final screencast for Lesson 3 of Unit 7. I'm on page 378. And it says, how can flowing water shape land? And it says, as you read this page and the next, underline the names of land features that flowing water can form and shape. Flowing water weathers and erodes rocks and sediment, and eventually flowing water deposits these materials in new locations. And a lot of that sediment is carried all the way to the ocean. Weathering and erosion by flowing water form various land features such as valleys, cliffs, and canyons. So the Grand Canyon, for instance, was formed by weathering and erosion. Those materials were carried off over a long period of time, forming a huge canyon. Okay, I've already talked about this, but I'll mention it again. Streams can carry small pieces of sediment. If the stream moves faster, then the sediment size that it can carry increases. If it's really moving fast, for instance, maybe floodwaters or something like that, it can carry along even large rocks. When the stream slows down, then it's less able to carry big pieces of sediment, and those get deposited on the bed of the river. All right, so here we go. Groundwater is actually an agent of weathering and erosion, even though you might not think about it. Groundwater is, remember, water that seeps into the rock through the ground when it rains. And you have underground caves that are formed as acids in groundwater slowly dissolve areas underground. Okay? So how can flowing water shape land? Well, it can shape land by weathering and eroding material, meaning carrying material away. How can flowing water shape land? By depositing that material someplace else. So there's way number 2. Deposition by flowing water forms features such as alluvial fans, deltas, and floodplains. Okay. When a stream from steeper land flows to flatter land, the speed of the stream is going to slow down because it's not as steep of a hill anymore. And as it slows, it's less able to carry large pieces of sediment. So some of the sediment is going to be dropped down to the bottom of the riverbed. The deposited sediment can form a large fan-shaped mass called an alluvial fan. Where streams and inner oceans, a similar fan-shaped mass may be deposited at the river's mouth, and this is called a delta. Heavy rainfall and floods can cause rivers to rise and bring sediment up over the banks of a river. And cycles of flooding cause layers of sediment to build up, forming flat floodplains. Okay? So large, flat areas surrounding, for instance, if you've ever crossed the Yewa Creek on 696, it's the creek, and then there's a surrounding flat area. That's a floodplain. Same thing with the Brazos River. You go over the Brazos River going towards Bryan, the land surrounding it is very flat. Those are floodplains. Okay? All right, let's go to page 380 and 381 and just kind of finish up. How can glaciers weather and erode the Earth's surface? Well, remember that glaciers act kind of like a big bulldozer. They pick up material and scrape out the land beneath them. Glaciers are going to move ice, rock, and sediment, and they're going to change valleys that may be V-shaped into wide U-shaped valleys. Okay. Some of the land features associated with glaciers: cirques, bowl-shaped hollows carved out by glaciers. A glacial horn is a sharp, steep, pyramid-shaped peak. A arête is a sharp horizontal ridge that runs along a glacially carved mountain. Okay. What can melting glaciers deposit? Well, glaciers also shape Earth's surface by leaving behind lakes and deposits of rock and sediment. Remember, we've said that the Great Lakes were formed by glaciers. As glaciers melt, they drop rock and sediment that was frozen in the ice, and these deposits are called glacial till. Okay? Down here, there is an example of glacial till. All of this stuff, all of this rock that's been deposited, that's glacial till. Okay? When you have glacial till deposited in large piles, that large pile is called a moraine. Okay? New York's Long Island, for example, is a moraine. Glaciers may shape till into elongated hills called drumlins. Melting glaciers may drop large boulders in unusual places, and these boulders are called erratics. They may be deposited hundreds of kilometers from their original location. How did they get there? Because remember, the ice sheet, the glacier, pushed them there. Kettle lakes are small depressions formed when a piece of a glacier breaks off and becomes covered with glacial till. And when the ice melts, it fills the hollow with water. The Great Lakes are another type of glacial lake. These depressions are formed from the immense pressure of ice sheets. Okay? This is a small kettle lake. Okay? And I'm not going to do 23 with you because you can look back through the reading and give examples of depositional features formed by melting glaciers. Okay? And I think, again, you can answer this one. How was the glacial till deposited in the photo below? So you can do that, guys, by yourself. Okay? And that brings us to the end of the lesson. And you can fill out the visual summary and the lesson review on your own.